Microsoft Surface Laptop 3 is now available. Thinking about playing games on it? Here's what you need to know. What's up everybody, Brat here, and Microsoft's Surface Laptop 3 is now available. And if you opt for the larger 15-inch variety, which I have here, you can actually start to think about, hey, maybe I can game on this thing on the road. And to keep this video short, and if you don't want to watch the entire thing, the answer is yeah, you kind of can. But there are a couple things you need to know. And I've got a couple demos here of Apex Legends and Fortnite to give you kind of a better understanding of what type of performance you're going to get, but also understand that this is not a gaming laptop. If you want something purely dedicated towards gaming, this isn't your machine. But if you're in a hotel room and you've got your Xbox controller wired up or hooked up or Bluetooth or whatever you want to call it to your machine, and you say, hey, maybe I can play a couple rounds of Fortnite or Apex or something else. I'm here to tell you it is possible, but let's just kind of dive into the details first. This machine right here is the Ryzen 5, and so it has a Vega 9 graphics, mobile graphics. If you opt for the Ryzen 7 chip, you get the RX Vega 11 series, so you will get better performance, but you're also going to pay a couple $100 more. So think of this as more as the entry-level 15-inch, although this one does have 16 gigs of RAM. But here are some of the baseline benchmarks that you kind of need to know about. First up is, so I ran 3D Mark's Time Spy. Now this is designed for a higher end gaming rig. And as you can tell here by the numbers, they're not great, but they do give you some idea of where this thing does land. On the CPU side, you have a score of 2702, and on the GPU side, 821 for a total score of 916. But if you jump over into the more casual kind of everyday type style test with Night Raid, you get a much better score of 4521 for the total score, and then what is that, 2580 for the CPU and 5214 for that GPU. Now let's start off here with Apex Legends, which is a game I play a lot. Now granted, I usually play it on the console, but this is on the PC, or obviously the laptop, the Surface 3 here, and those are the settings. They are mostly lower, they're skewed lower. The primary thing that I changed was the resolution. That is the big thing that I did change, because that is a big driver of how much overhead there is when you actually do all this when you run a game. So there you go. You can take a look at the settings that I had, and we are going to dive into the game here. And you can already see it's a little bit jaggy. And I did Shadowfall 1 because it's a solo player game and I shouldn't impact my the other people out there with me trying to do demos and tests here. But you can already see things are a little bit rough. Now I did try to turn on a FPS counter, which is in the top right. And despite the fact that I chose dark mode, it kept showing up bright white as that box. I tried guys, and it wasn't working. But I did take some notes, and so what we are going to see here is a game that maxes out at about, unfortunately, 20 frames per second. That is the best that I could get Apex Legends to run during my quick demo. And here, as it searches for the Shadowfall game, just kind of keep in mind that, again, this is not a high-end rig. This is a middle of the road type setup. All right, so here we go. I'm obviously playing Pathfinder because Pathfinder is the best. Like I said, though, this is a PC account. Typically I play on the Xbox. That's why I don't have all of the legends unlocked. For those of you who are about to accuse me of never having actually played this game before, I've got an embarrassing amount of hours in on the console. So here we go, guys. So we are in the ship flying in, and at this point in time, FPS is around 15. It fluxes. As you jump out, it nosedives down into around 10 or so, and it just kind of, much like my character's doing, it free falls all the way down. So you can see me flying in here, and it gets real apparent here as I try to pick things up. It just becomes kind of difficult to get things going because the frame rate is so low. It is candidly really unplayable. I will run around here for a minute or two just to show you how it actually is on these settings, because it's good to know what the limits are, because what you can't see here too is I also turned on the stats that are in the game bar. Unfortunately, they don't record here. I'm about to third party somebody, and you will see these two guys fighting, and unfortunately that guy died. And so now as I run up here and try to shoot this guy, the frame rates just fall through the floor, and it becomes just about impossible to try to hit him. And of course I died. All right, guys, so what I've done here is I've actually taken all the settings and turned them all all the way down. I kept the resolution the same, but I turned off things I turned down things like the view distance, anti-aliasing is turned way down. You basically just turn everything off. Now, this is obviously not an ideal way to play Apex Legends. I'm fully aware that this is not a competitive class setup. This is somebody who wants to play the game and they're on the road and they're not quite able to get that itch by doing it any other way. And so they want to play on their Surface Laptop 3, and I don't blame them. So if you turn all that stuff down, again, you can't see the frames per second because of reasons, but I can tell you that it is quite playable. I mean, I was averaging over 30 frames per second during all this, and you can see how much more fluid I was picking things up. I've chopped it up here to make it a little bit easier to watch, but again, things are much more fluid. It's much easier to pick items up. You can look and see what and get what you want. And it is honestly, guys, playable. Like, I could see myself doing this in a hotel room when I just really want to play with my Xbox controller. And as you can see, they're even using the grapple. The frames held up. Everything actually just kind of works. Granted, it's not the best. You're not going to want to take this to like an esports style thing. You're not going to play this for competitively. You're just having fun. It works. I will give it that thumbs up approval that it does work here. And you'll actually see me, well, I kill some of the shadows that fall down. I was trying to find other people to shoot, but I shot one, killed one, and then you'll see what happens because I'm not a great gamer, but I do enjoy it. I did end up getting killed. But here's what I'm telling you guys. Apex Legends does work. It's not a bad setup. It's just not ideal. So I'm not going to run around this too long here. Why don't we jump over to Fortnite? So Fortnite, when you start it up, will tell you, hey, this is what the game recommends. And so these are the recommended settings. And I got to tell you, they are bullish. I don't know why it said, hey, this is what we recommend your machine run. I can't imagine why. Anyway, so here you go. This is the loading lobby here. And it's already a bit rough at those settings. And as we jump in here and wait for the battle bus, it like you can tell, it looks more like a PowerPoint presentation than it does an actual video game. And it's rough. There's no other way to describe it. You can look at the FPS. It's up there next to the map, and you can't play when it's that low. All right, so here we are on the battle bus, and it doesn't make any difference. I thought maybe getting out of the lobby would actually potentially improve it without so many people to draw and so many things to deal with. But you can see here, like it is terrible. You cannot play Fortnite on the recommended settings, even though that's what it supposedly ran a test on this laptop and said, hey, you can play Fortnite at these settings. It's going to work. And I am here to tell you that the recommended settings are not going to work on a Ryzen 5 Vega 9 mobile GPU. It's not there. I mean, look at this, guys. There's no way that you could play this even casually. Like, I'd like to think that if you were just playing this for fun or whatever, it would work. But this is like, I'm actually having a lot of trouble controlling my character at this point because it's just so rigid and bad, and put all your other narratives or adjectives and pronouns together to form sentences that are not pleasant, because that is the way it actually works here. And I end up just kind of rage quitting because it is that bad. There's no way to make these recommended settings work. And it's like, you can see here, I thought maybe, hey, once I get on the ground, things are going to work. Nope. It never recovers, and there's no way, and the frames per second are just abysmal there, and there's no way. So I gave up on this, and what I did was then I went and turned down everything to just about as low as you could get. I could lower some things a little bit further, potentially on the resolution, but look, guys, we got some fluid movement, we got some stability, we've got potential here. And so, well, again, it's not your 120 frames per second running on a 2080 Ti type scenario with 32 gigs of RAM. This is actually playable. And this is, again, all running on the Surface Laptop 3. And keep in mind that I am recording this using the game bar. So there's a little bit of overhead that is going on that is going to impact performance. The other thing too, which you can't see here because the game bar did not record it, is that the GPU was taxing out at about 70 to 85% while playing this, which actually means that there's some overhead room to increase things. I typically don't tell people to max it out above 90% because you need that extra capacity in case you're fighting or whatnot. But you could actually increase the graphics from what I had tried it with. Now, the reason why I didn't throw together the optimal resolution is because you're going to have to make trade-offs. Do you want higher resolution? Do you want better anti-aliasing? There's hundreds of permutations, and it's going to be up to you to decide what is important. But I can tell you honestly that Fortnite is playable on this laptop at a relatively high frame rate that, again, it's not esports competitive. It's not something you want to take to a LAN party. It is for somebody who is just trying to have a little fun, wants to play some Fortnite. And there you go. I shoot some bullets to try to get some animations on the screen. I did find somebody, which we will cut to here in a second, to show kind of battling, but I absolutely got destroyed. I don't play Fortnite personally myself a lot. I do play it on occasion, but again, it's on the console. But this is, again, just trying to show you that if you throw down the money for a Surface Laptop 3, you can in fact play Fortnite and Apex Legends. It's not going to be at the resolution that's going to make you the best in the world, and it's not going to be at the frame rate that you're going to potentially want. But it is possible to get a playable game out of a Surface Laptop 3, which wasn't designed to do gaming. Now, the one thing we haven't really talked about is fan noise. It absolutely will ramp up. It's not obnoxious. And if you're playing a game like this, you probably have headphones on. Please don't play it over the speakers, especially like on a bus or something. Just be kind to your neighbor. But it wasn't so loud that I found it obnoxious. And I'm pretty sensitive to noise, especially when I'm playing or testing something like this, because it's usually just me in a room by myself playing around with this. But as you can see here, like I drink a potion, obviously it's all fast forward, but it works. Like Fortnite is in fact playable. And I can't say that about every single time I've done this test. I tried this on the Surface Go and it was a little wonky, but you'll see here I will get slaughtered. But again, keep your eyes on those frame rates. It is in fact actually possible here to play Fortnite on a Surface Laptop 3. Now, those are some couple longer demos for you to kind of give you an understanding of what is possible with this hardware. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's black and you can see the greasy fingerprints and know all that stuff. I'll have a full review up on here in a couple days. I've only had this thing since Wednesday, but I'm here to tell you that it's a good machine. Graphics performance isn't through the roof, but it's not terrible either. It's something that you can game on lightly if you're willing to make certain sacrifices. If you don't want to make those sacrifices, you're going to have to pay up for a dedicated gaming laptop. But there you go, guys. That is just a kind of easy look, if you will, at gaming on the Surface Laptop 3. It's an interesting choice. It's a good machine. And if you're willing to make those sacrifices, it can play a couple games on the road too.